Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Eden Road podcast, where on today's show we're going to be reflecting on more England drama. Last night, Ollie Watkins in the last minute of normal time sends England all the way to the final at Euro 2024. Joining me to dissect that result, we've got Dan. Dan, how are we, mate?
All good. Great result last night. Very exciting again.
Craig, how are we?
Absolutely buzzing. Didn't expect it, but I'm happy we're here.
100%. We've not got Callum. We've tried our best to get him in. He was at the game last night, but he's struggling with Wi-Fi issues, as is normally the case with Callum. So hopefully we'll get an appearance from him after the final. But yeah, he can't make it today. Just before we get going, guys, remember to drop a comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify channels, and also give us a follow on our socials. That's at the Eden Road on Twitter and at Eden Road Pod on Instagram. Boys, what a fucking unbelievable night. Sorry to swear so early on in the podcast, but Jesus Christ. We do know how to get that heart rate going, do we? We really, really do. Dan, take it away, mate. Just unbelievable scenes.
I think it just shows the quality we have in the squad, even off the bench, even the players that don't necessarily play for those big clubs. Everyone's kind of having their moment in this tournament. Obviously, Ivan Toney's had his moment with the penalty and his contribution against Slovakia as well. And obviously now Ollie Watkins. I'm really happy for him, to be honest. And you can see how much it means to him compared to, if just, Harry Kane had scored again, because obviously they're used to those moments to an extent. And I am pleased that the whole squad is just coming together and they're all seeming to have their moment. First half, I thought we were quite exciting after I said we're dreadful to watch. And then obviously at half time, I think Southgate must have listened to our podcast because he settled back again in the second half, and it was what we were a bit more used to. But if we had lost playing how we did in the first half, I think it would have been well received. I think everyone would have been able to deal with that. The risk Southgate takes is that if we are going to play that kind of football and we don't win, and only one team goes to these tournaments and win, then he's likely to be criticised. But you can't argue with his record at the end of the day, and he's got us to another final. And obviously we'll look forward to that in a few days' time.
100%. We've got Callum waiting in the waiting room. I sent him the link for this call, so I'm going to cue him in now. I don't know what his audio is going to be like, but Callum, if you can hear me, mate, how are you doing?
How are we doing, all?
Yeah. How was last night, mate?
Fucking brilliant. I'm still hanging, but we're all good.
How was it in the ground last night, mate?
Oh man, popping, absolutely popping. I'll tell you, the atmosphere was second to none. I mean, the fans got behind the players. In the second half, they were really struggling for at least 30 minutes, I'd say. But what a job, to get it over the line in the fashion we did. And, a fantastic finish from Watkins and pandemonium everywhere. I mean, flipping it. What a fantastic game, and what a spectacle. What a way to, what fantastic being in that ground. Honestly, I'm not trying to rub it in too much, boys, but yeah, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
Callum, we were just talking about Gareth Southgate. How was it in front of him when the players came around and Southgate came around at the end? I think that was probably the most animated we've seen Southgate throughout the whole tournament. Obviously, he's come in for criticism this tournament massively. And I've seen a few of his post-match interviews, and he's saying, everyone needs love, and it's difficult to be the England manager when you come in for so much criticism. But like Dan said, you can't argue with his record at major tournaments. Yes, he's slow to make subs at times, and there is criticism in sometimes the way that we set up. But you cannot argue with that record at major tournaments, can you, Callum?
No, absolutely not. And, he came out before the game as well, which I don't know if they caught that on camera, about 10 to 15 minutes prior to the game as well, and was gearing up the supporters. I mean, he has done such a fantastic job. Yes, his football might not be the best at times, and in particular that second half, 30 minutes where we were really creating problems for ourselves, which I don't think we necessarily had to. We had the game, I think, in our palms in the first half. They had one potluck shot from 35 yards out, which is a screamer and goes in the back of the net, and they really didn't offer very much after that. So we did create some little issues for us, allowing them to have the ball quite a lot, and us backing off. But Southgate, it'd be interesting to see now, though. That's the problem. If we did win on Sunday, boys, what does Gareth Southgate do? That's the thing. Hey, his market value would be through the roof if he goes and wins the European Championships. So it's hard to say, but I'll be there. My ticket, I'll get it tomorrow. So watch out once again. Fucking come on, England!
Craig, we saw the same lineup from the Switzerland game. Trippier started on the left. We debated whether Luke Shaw would be there. He's not had many minutes at all. I mean, the game against Switzerland were his first minutes in months. But it was weird because Shaw came on in the second half and we played a lot better in the first than we did in the second. Southgate didn't. He went back to a back four and it was a different system in the second half with Shaw on the pitch. But just talk to me about the first half performance, because that was definitely the best football we've played in the tournament so far, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Ignoring the fact that we were 1-0 down after 6 minutes, it was our quickest and brightest start to a game in the tournament that we've had so far. From the whistle, we looked to be kind of in front and on the push almost immediately. As soon as that ball goes back, we're getting it forward and trying to get an early goal. Well, unfortunately, we get caught with a little bit of a Declan Rice mistake, and they put the ball, as Callum said, in the back of the net from a pop shot, nothing shot out of nowhere, and it's flown in past the goalkeeper. But it was a brilliant first half performance, which was granted a little bit of luck, deserved to go into the break not behind. We probably should have actually really been ahead going in at half time. Probably should have been leading the game. But to be able to go, if that game was 0-0 at half time, we would be saying, how aren't we winning this game at half time? But going in at 1-0, having come from behind, we looked to be in complete control of the game. I thought it was fantastic, and it was our best 45 minutes of football we've seen this tournament. Absolutely.
100%. I completely agree in that we should have definitely been winning that first half. The one where Foden gets it cleared off the line, he hits the post. But it was nice to see England start a game well and really press on. I was disappointed for us not to get a goal. And I said at half time, this is not going to be maintainable. The Netherlands will change things in the second half. But just to see England playing at the level that we expected pre-tournament, and it's taken us a while to get there, all the way to the semi-finals. But we've actually, I think that first half, if we can play like that against Spain, and it's going to be a completely different game and we'll get onto it, but we do give ourselves a really good chance of winning this tournament. Dan, I'm going to come to you next. Ollie Watkins. Can we like him again now?
I never really disliked him. I thought, I definitely think the decision he made that day at the GTEC was ill-advised. He obviously just did it in the spur of the moment. It might have been correct that someone was shouting at him, but he's got to look at the bigger picture, and he knew the reaction he would receive as a result of what he did. But I still don't doubt for a second that he appreciates everything that Brentford did for him. And obviously, we played a big part in his journey. We turned him into a centre forward, so we can take credit for everything that happened tonight. But no, I've never disliked him. I think he is a good lad, and I'm pleased for him. I'm pleased for just somebody other than the usual suspects to, have their moment, because you can see how much it meant to him.
For sure. And what a goal, by the way. What an unbelievable finish. I think it was 0.05 XG that was. To score from there on the swivel, gets a bit of luck going through his legs, but there was only one place that he could have put it and it would have gone in, and he put it there. I'm still going to abuse him when he comes to the GTEC and when we go to Villa Park next season, but there was a little bit in me that was really happy for him. Go on, Craig.
Callum, what was it like in the stadium when that goal goes in the last minute?
Well, I mean, let's just say I was about 3 or 4 rows in front of where I was originally. So
you were on the TV, weren't you?
I was on television yesterday. Yes, again.
He was on the camera.
I was like, "Come here, boss, come here." He was impressed with my beer snake, boys. Honestly, this is an idea. Whenever you go and watch the European Championships, they give you a cup which is €3, and if you take it back, you get the €3 back. So I said yesterday, right, this is going to pay for my match ticket. So I collected 1, collected 2, got to I think 25, I think it was in the end, and then they said, right, that's enough. So that's made me 80 quid, around 80 quid back. So I'm a very happy man right now. So I'm 80 quid up. That goes towards my match ticket for the final. So But great. The scenes were incredible, absolutely incredible. Everyone hugging each other, emotions were high. Yeah, I mean, you'll know obviously because you've been to European Championships before. But I mean, and last night you could tell it meant a lot. Another European Championship final. It's going to be a difficult game though. Spain are honestly they're a hard team to play against, but we've proved we play them when we played them in the past, and we play them very, very well. So it's a one-game shootout, and anything's possible. So it's coming home, boys. It's coming home. I'm not, because I don't know how I'm getting home yet. I'll see the flight prices are through the bloody
You're not
roof
coming
at the
home.
I'm not coming
You just
home.
made 80 quid, so that's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Just got the 80 quid, mate. Use that. Let's talk about some players. Kobbie Mainoo, Craig. I know you put a message in the WhatsApp group last night. It seems like every time he's played, we're waxing lyrical about him on the podcast. And yesterday, he was just unbelievable. In that first half, especially, just the confidence that he has for such a young age. I think the one that really stood out for me was the Foden chance that got cleared off the line, and he just kind of drops the shoulder, loses the midfielder, bursts into the kind of final third, and then sets Phil Foden on his way. But it's just his all-round game. It's just unbelievable. He's just so good, so much potential in that player. He's the future of our midfield, I think, Craig.
I mean, when our midfield consists of Kobbie Mainoo, Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, not very old player either. Obviously, he's very young still. Phil Foden, you're not really worried about us in the midfield, are you? But he was absolutely phenomenal again. Absolutely phenomenal. I thought he was fantastic, and as I said in the chat, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, for sure. What about the defence, Dan? Because I feel like going into the tournament, everyone was kind of saying, because, no left-sided centre-back, Harry Maguire not there, we've got 4 right-footers across the back line. Everyone going into the tournament was saying that defence could be our weakness. And I think it's probably been our strongest point. I think Stones last night had his best game so far in the tournament. Gay's been exceptional all tournament. Walker, for me, still a little bit off the pace. But his ability to recover, there was a couple of times in the first half, maybe once in the second half, his ability to get back. I think just that alone warrants his starting place in the team, just to bail us out of situations when they've got pacey wingers, and he's gonna need to be on his game in the Spain game when they've got Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams on the wings. But just his ability to get back and intercept and make those tackles, he's been a bit off the pace, and it's not as great a tournament as I would have expected him to have before a ball was kicked. But just some of the defending last night, Dan, and the defending throughout the tournament, to be fair, we were not really conceding many clear-cut chances per game. I think the Netherlands didn't have any last night. Obviously, their goal was a wonder goal. They had one that hit the bar, but that was from a corner. But in terms of clear-cut opportunities where they should have scored, I'm struggling to think of one.
Yeah, it's definitely been our strength. I think apart from perhaps maybe the beginning of the Slovakia game where I thought we were a bit open and the goal we conceded, I think was quite poor. But otherwise, I think, that has been our strength, and it has been really solid. I think, someone like Kyle Walker, you do need him up against those pacey wingers, especially of Spain. I think on the ball, he's been quite weak, but we can forgive him if he's going to help us out defensively. I do worry slightly about Spain, though, because I also thought France are quite solid before, obviously, they played Spain. And I think Spain are a whole different animal, and they'll be like nothing we faced before. And their movement was insane in the first half against France. So we're going to have to really watch out for that and really, see what we're going to do. I don't know if we'll play a back 3 or a back 5. It's quite hard to tell because obviously their wingers will probably want to get in behind the wing backs who play a 5. So that will definitely be our biggest test. But obviously, so far they've passed every test, and I think as a unit, it has been our strength, definitely.
For sure, Callum, I want to get onto Phil Foden and bring you in on this one, because I think that was his best game in the England shirt last night. What did he look like from the stands? It feels like it's taken a while for him to get off the ground, but when he does get going and he's dropping into the pockets, and it's weird because we've been saying it all tournament, he can't play off the left, and as soon as he drifts a little bit more centrally and he's playing in between the lines, he's getting the ball on the half turn. His ability on the half turn to take it, turn, find a pass, drive, find a shot, that one off the crossbar or the post in the first half, the one that got cleared off the line, he is just a silky footballer, and you need him in that 10 position because he can cause so much damage. What did it look like from the stands?
Absolutely. No, I mean, he was picking the ball up. He was looking for the ball, any opportunity, really. And, their back line really did not know what to do with him, to be honest with you. Players like Virgil van Dijk has played against him regularly over the last 5-6 seasons, and he didn't even know how to handle him. It was when you see Phil Foden in that form, we've seen it in the Premier League. He is an unstoppable player, and the shot he had in the first half. I mean, off the crossbar. I mean, I was right behind that as it was at our end in the first half, and just slow motion of how he curled it. How it was, the keeper was beaten. I mean, he is, when he's in form, as I say, he is unplayable, and hopefully he does that again on Sunday. I don't see any reason why not. He can play freely. He doesn't have any fear. Like he that's what I want to see more of in him in that England team, because I haven't seen that in the tournament so far. But it was exciting. It was really exciting, and I just want to see more of it from now. More of it. 100%.
For sure. I think that combination down the right of Saka, Mainoo when he drifts in, and Foden, it's so dangerous. You could see every time it got drifted out to the right, and that's where one of our threat comes from. It's just they don't know what to do. They've got so much dynamism between the three, and it's gonna be such a key area for the Spain game, because it's down the right where we're going to be able to hurt them. We're going to get onto the Spain game and what we should be looking at, but firstly, Craig, we've given him stick. Everyone's given him stick. We said that he's reluctant to change, but I think yesterday we do have to give some credit to Southgate. He got the subs right. He could have made them a little bit earlier, in my opinion, but still, I'm not going to take anything away from it. Cole Palmer and Ollie Watkins combined for the goal. We've got to give him a bit of credit, don't we, Craig?
Yeah, absolutely. The game was screaming out for Ollie Watkins, I thought. They started to look tired, the Dutch defence. They started to look tired. They started to look leggy, and you're thinking, who's going to run at the defence more? Ivan Toney or Ollie Watkins? Because a lot of people, mainly Brentford fans, were screaming out for Ivan Toney to come on the pitch, but Watkins was the clear and obvious replacement for Harry Kane. We were desperate for someone who was going to run in behind the defence and create chances and take the opportunities to beat the defenders for pace, because Ivan or Harry Kane just aren't going to do it. So Watkins was very clearly the correct substitution, and yeah, maybe we might have asked for it a little bit earlier, but I thought that actually the timing was really good. They were getting leggy, they were getting tired, and it just was the right time for that substitution to happen, and to see it pan out and play the way it did with that ball in from Cole Palmer, it's just poetry. Made in Brentford, going to Berlin.
Let's talk about the shape when Shaw did come in before we chat about the Spurs game, Dan, because the first half was so good. I'd have loved Shaw to come into left back and replace Trippier, and for us to play in the exact same way that we did in the first. But obviously we went back to a 4. Saka pulled more out to the right-hand side. And Shaw didn't really show any kind of attacking impetus in that second half. And I guess it's in Southgate's nature. He probably told him we keep tight at the back. We've lost Callum, but thank you, Callum, for your contributions. He probably told him to keep it tight at the back. Maybe don't bomb on so much down that left-hand side, and he really didn't. But do we think that needs to be approached in the Spain game, in terms of if Shaw does come in and we go to a 4, for him to be that overlapping fullback on the left-hand side? How do you think it should go?
Well, at first, it's quite ironic that Southgate changed things at halftime for the first time after we have probably the best half of football we've played.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Netherlands also changing things up. They definitely tightened up the space in the second half. So I definitely think that also made things harder for us anyway. They played a bit more like Switzerland and everyone else we played in the second half, which led to a more similar game to what we've seen. I would have stuck with back 5. I didn't really think you needed to change a formation. I thought Shaw would just fit where Trippier was, and he would just, because I mean, he's a natural left-sided player. So if you're playing him on the overlap, then I don't think his delivery is very good actually, but you would hope that his delivery would be a bit better than what Trippier could produce on his left foot. So I thought it's a bit of a shame. I thought Saka completely went out the game in the second half as well. I think maybe it helped him playing a bit deeper because he got more involved. And obviously because we weren't really breaking into the final third as regular in the second half, then I thought Saka just completely wasn't in the game, despite being probably one of our most dangerous players in the first half. So yeah, I thought it was a bit strange that he changed. I probably would still stick with the with the five, because it wasn't like the five we've seen Gareth play in previous tournaments where it's been quite defensively minded. It was quite a fluid five. And obviously, I mean, with Kyle Walker was right centre back, but also bombing on. So I quite liked how fluid it was, and I would have kept it like that.
Do we think start Shaw from the start against Spain?
I would, but in a back five, just him for Trippier.
Yeah, I think it is a straight swap, because we mentioned about the right-hand side, about how all of England's best work comes down that right-hand side. And we did play really well in that first half, but every time it worked out to Trippier, it just slows things down, because he's not going to go down the left. He's just never going to do it. Every time it was worked out to the left-hand side, he's looking back inside. Go on, Craig.
There was definitely a few opportunities in that second half where the ball has worked itself down that left-hand side, where Shaw has put in a bombing run himself, and he's got round that last defender. I could think of the one that pops into my head the clearest is the Cole Palmer chance right towards the end of the game before Watkins puts it in. That ball across goal, Watkins was unfortunate not to get a toe on it and touch it in direction of goal, but that was from Luke Shaw's run, and Trippier does not and will not do that run. And that's no criticism to him as a footballer. That's based on the fact that he has no left foot, or won't use it as comfortably as a naturally left-footed player in what Luke Shaw is. But there was a couple of times where Luke Shaw has gotten around the back of that last defender and cut the ball across goal. I mean, a couple got cleared, but one like that one where it's driven low, it's straight across the goal, and it comes to Cole Palmer on the edge of the box on the far side. And unfortunately, he kind of scuffs his shot a little bit and is wayward. But that shows what happens when you have a naturally left-footed player on that side. And one thing that really bugged me with the way that Trippier plays, and I will say credit to him, he stepped in and he's done really well. But it shows that we need a player on that left side. It was an offside in the first half. I know it's something so silly as an offside.
There was a couple.
But he obviously felt so unnatural and so out of position that he made a run. He tried to bend a run, and you could see him saying to Foden or whoever it was, "Wait, I'm bending my run." And he was about 5 feet offside. And it's like, mate, you got to bend your run back to England to be onside. Then it was not even close. But I think that it shows a player that was completely out of position, because on the right side, I don't think he would have made that run so early. He made it so early because it looked like he wanted to just get the ball and cut back onto that right foot to be able to put the ball in, which he did so many times during that game as well. So Luke Shaw being on that side, someone who can get round and then just whip it the way that he did a couple of times in that second half, is incredibly, incredibly beneficial for us as a team. Oof,
yeah. As well, like, he's been put in to do a job, and it's by no means like an indictment on his play. It's just the fact that he's not got a left foot, something that we all before the start of the tournament. So he's just kind of been shoehorned into that position, and he's doing the best that he can do, and I don't discredit him. But now we've got Shaw back, I think not only does it give us an option off the bench, but if Southgate wants to use him from the start, we can do that as well, and I think it will work to good effect. Let's talk about Spain, boys. For me, in some of the reaction, listening to some of the commentary from yesterday, but it just does feel like something's happening. I said it after the last couple of games, the fashion of the Jude goal against Slovakia, the fashion of the penalty win against Switzerland, the fashion of the Watkins winner last night. It's just, I feel like it's just all coming together. And I feel like there's a Southgate element too. And I know football, you can't just go off vibes, but it would just be the most incredible storyline for him to finally get the trophy on his farewell in England. And I think, we mentioned it in the last episode, even if he does win the tournament, I think it is time for a bit of a refresh. But Dan, it just feels like everything's aligning in the right place. It's all coming together. We played our best football, the fashion of the results. It's just, I've said it before, I feel like I'm a hopeless romantic with England, but this time it just does feel like it's going to happen for us.
It does. I mean, we've been 1-0 down in the last 3 games now. And every time it felt like we needed to score, something's happened. And, sometimes we've left it late, but it's happened. And it's been true quality as well. The Bellingham goal, the Saka goal, the Watkins goal, they're all brilliant goals. And it just shows what quality individuals that we have. And when you have such quality individuals, I think you always have a chance. because there is always a chance that one of them, and we haven't seen anything from someone like Foden yet, but he's also capable of it. There's always a chance that one of them will just pop up with something from nowhere when we need it. So that there is a chance there, but all logic does also tell me that Spain have been by far the best team in these Euros. And if they really play how they have been, then it's going to be very, very difficult. And we will probably have to get better again. And I do think our defence, we'll see how good our defence really is by the end of this, because they'll be tested a hell of a lot more than they have been so far.
I feel like this midfield three of Spain as well, we can't really mention them without talking about. I know that the wingers have probably got the most attention in Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, and probably rightfully so. I mean, Lamine Yamal, the goal that he scored in the last round against France was just unbelievable. And I think he's 16, lads, as well, by the way. I think people have been saying that he's actually 16. Oh, yeah.
Oh, 17 on Sunday.
It will be 17 on Sunday. But for me, I mean, Rodri was amazing against France, but Fabian Ruiz is the one that stood out. I haven't really heard much about him because I think his career at PSG hasn't been as good as it could have been. I think he was at Napoli before then, and I think Napoli, he was really good, but at PSG it hasn't quite taken off. And then Dani Olmo as well, he wasn't even in the starting lineups for Spain towards the start of the tournament, but then Pedri gets this big injury and he comes in, and I think he's scored 5 goal involvements, I think 3 goals, 2 assists. His goal against France, I would actually argue the way that he touches that ball to get away from Tchouaméni, I think there's even an argument to say that it's better than Lamine Yamal's goal. Just that touch was just unbelievable. I know it's a bit scrappier and it goes in for deflection, but for me, I think, Craig, if we're going to beat Spain on Sunday, those midfield three, we have to stop Rodri and Ruiz controlling the game, because if they start to control the game, they'll start pigging these balls into Olmo, and when he's got space in between the lines, it just signals danger. I don't think Morata's a weird one because we all know him from his time at Chelsea, and he was a bit of a flop at Chelsea. But I'm not too worried about him. I think the three that we need to worry about, I think the 5, if you add the wingers as well. But I think the crux of it is that midfield 3. So what do you reckon, Craig? How do we stop those 3 dictating the game?
I think it's rather than focusing on stopping them, I think that we should be aiming for them to be stopping us. I feel like we need to go into this game without that defensive mindset. To be able to win it, we have to go into it being offensive, being attacking, playing positive football, and going for the win. If we sit back and defend it, I don't see us holding out for 90 minutes if we set up in a defensive way. However, this is going to be a team like the Dutch were that are going to attack us. And if we're going to sit back and play that low block, it gives us opportunities to play counter-attacking football, which if everyone's on their game, we will be able to do, because the ball will go into Rice, it'll go into Foden, it'll go into Bellingham, and then it will be wide. And we can use the pace of Saka. We can, there's no pace of Harry Kane, but we can use Harry Kane as that low player. We've got opportunities for Walker to burst forward. We've got opportunities for Luke Shaw to burst forward. It's one of those ones where I think that we need to focus on us doing well rather than them stopping them, because I don't think we can. It's a case of us beating them here, because they as Dan said, they've easily been the best team in this tournament so far. So if we just go out there and we play the way we did in that first half, we're giving ourselves the best chance to come home with that trophy.
For sure. Dan, how do we do it? How do you think we do it? Are you echoing that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you got to look at that first half yesterday
against
and
Netherlands.
Just think that they were more open first half than the Netherlands. And obviously, I know they did tighten up, but I don't think Spain will tighten up. I think Spain will fancy themselves against us, and I think they'll burst forward. So then it's important that we move the ball quickly on the transition and that we can break on them as well, because we've got just as good players. We need to back ourselves at this stage, because we have made the final despite not being at our best, and we've got the players to hurt them, and we can make them worry about that. So yeah, I think we've got to, because if we just sit back, they're going to score at some point. It's a dangerous game to play. And I would also go over back 5. I think same as how you started against the Netherlands, but Shaw in for Trippier. Maybe Walker might not have the license to be so attacking if Spain were obviously leaving men up, but otherwise, I quite liked it how it was going first half against the Netherlands.
Yeah. What do we think, boys? I'm going to ask for predictions. What's going to happen, Craig?
God, we're going to have two different responses here because we're going to have a head and a heart here.
Yeah.
My heart says we win 2-1 because I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. However, that's a 2-1 extra time. I think it's 1-0 in 90 and we win it in extra time. My head is thinking logically here, and we 4-0 down by the 65th minute. No, I think my heart says we win it. My head says my heart's being overly optimistic.
Dan?
2-2 England win on penalties. If it goes to a penalty shootout, I back us.
Yeah,
I would back us over them in a penalty shootout. So that's how we're going to win it.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think everything's coming into place at the right time. He gets the lineup right, and I think the team do the rest. I think you bring Shaw in, you play how we did on the front foot against the Netherlands. We've got the level of quality in the Spain side is high, but the level of quality in our side is also high. And I think obviously it's going to be the biggest test. But if we go toe to toe with them and we play like we did in the first half against the Netherlands, I think we can win in normal time, boys. I really do think we can win in normal time. We've got arguably one of the best defenses in the tournament so far. We've got definitely some of the best attackers in the tournament. We can do this. I think this is Southgate's moment. I think this is England's moment. It's fucking coming home.
Spain are due a bad game. They're due a bad
They're
game.
due a bad game.
They're due one. They're due one. Right, I think that's a good point to wrap up the podcast, guys. We will be back after the final to hopefully reflect on England's first major trophy since 1966. Remember to drop a comment down below. Do you think we're going to do it? Are you proud of Ollie Watkins? Can we like him again? How do we set up against Spain on Sunday? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify channels whilst you're at it, and also give us a follow on our socials. That's at the Ealing Road on Twitter and at Ealing Road Pod on Instagram. Gents, on to the final. On we go.
Come on, England! Up the bees!